I was willing to take that challenge,
Mhm.
and it presented something new and an opportunity for me to grow as an individual. And again, going back to the story of wanting to be a part of a bigger picture,
Yep.
not just one aspect,
Yep.
and how I could then impact or make an impact.
This is Inspiring Women, and I'm speaking with Michelle Fitz-Henley, and she is the Group Human Resources Manager at the Jamaica Broilers Group.
Yes.
And Michelle, I'm so excited to be speaking to you. You said you've been up since 3 a.m. this morning from Jamaica
Yeah.
to get here to Chicago for the SHRM conference. So that's where you're from, Jamaica?
That's right. I am from Jamaica. Actually, I flew in a little early on Saturday,
Oh, okay.
to ensure, I'll be up and ready
I was going to
for
say, for
Sunday.
somebody who was up at 3 a.m., you look quite well rested today.
Thank you. That's, credit to a lot of coffee.
Oh, you always need a lot of coffee at these conferences.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, let's talk about your organization, the
Mm.
Jamaica Broilers Group. So,
Yes.
first of all, what is that organization?
Mhm.
What do you do?
Okay. So I am the group human resources manager. So managing HR
Hmm.
for the group of companies. And at Jamaica Broilers Group, we're an agri-processing company,
Okay.
and we're vertically integrated. So from the eggs, table eggs, layers, the feed, and to the final product, the bird
Hmm.
or the chicken. And we also further process the chicken as well into franks, your burgers, the pepperoni slices that you see on your pizza and enjoy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How large is this organization? So it is, and are all, is it farms or, where all these chickens are? What is this business?
Okay, so we're quite unique
Hmm.
in terms of our structure. We don't own the farms,
Hmm.
but the farms are, or the farmers are contracted
Okay.
to us. So the company is based in Jamaica,
Hmm.
but we do have a company here in the US,
Okay.
and we're located across several states.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, as the HR leader for this organization, and you're also an attorney as
Yes.
well, is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so I want to ask you about that. But for the
Mhm,
Jamaica Broilers Group, like how many team members do you
mhm.
have across whether it's the United States company as well as your Jamaican company and all of the organizations that you contract with? Sort of like, can you give us a sense of the size of the organization?
Sure. So in Jamaica, it's approximately 1,000 employees.
Yep.
But if we speak about the US, it's about the same, if not more.
Yep.
And that's not including the farmers and other contractors that we work alongside. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I have to imagine, as the leader of HR, you have a
Mhm.
lot of interesting issues
Mm.
that you have to deal with. I want to get into some of those, but
Okay.
let's start, Michelle, with you in terms of, like, as an attorney, as an
Mhm.
HR professional, what is a little bit of your career trajectory that
Mhm.
got you to this particular position?
Well, I would say it's not the traditional route. Um, Not at all. My passion was law
Uh-huh.
growing up. I knew from very early that that's what I wanted to do. And in fact, my dream was to become a judge one day.
Okay.
Well, it was two things, either a judge or to be in a position of influence as it relates to making recommendations or amendments for law.
Hmm.
And it didn't quite work out that way as life would have it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and after I finished law school, I wanted a change. I wanted to be a part of the bigger picture, whether it was in law in particular, but part of a company that I could see or start a project from start to end. And very often, you don't get that if you're working, let's say, in a strictly legal sense or
Yes.
capacity.
Hmm.
And Jamaica Broilers offered that opportunity for me. In fact, I'm not hired as the attorney
Uh-huh.
at Jamaica Broilers Group. I'm there primarily in the HR role. Um, but I wouldn't change anything.
If we think about, so the role of an HR leader,
Hmm.
okay, so coming in with your attorney, want to be a judge, professional mindset,
Hmm.
and as somebody who intends to have an impact, what drew you to HR? in terms of, I mean, that is most certainly an area of impact. So how do you think about that in terms of, what do you enjoy about it? How do you think that it influences the mission of the company?
So, so going back to what I said earlier, or what I started, the there wasn't a role when I applied
Uh-huh.
at Jamaica Broilers.
Okay.
I was invited. I there was an I had just finished school, and I was sending my resumes to a number of companies, and I sent it to someone there, and they said, "Oh, this looks like an interesting candidate. Can you come in and have a chat with us?"
Uh-huh.
And I went to several interviews, and at the end of it, and they said they'll call me back, and the call I got was like, "Hey, we have an opening in HR. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Okay, well, I've never thought about that role at all,
Mhm.
much alone knew what it really encompassed. But I was willing to take that challenge.
Mhm.
And it presented something new and an opportunity for me to grow as
Mm.
an individual. And again, going back to the story of wanting to be a part of a bigger picture,
Yep.
not just one aspect,
Yep.
and how I could then impact or make an impact.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been in this role?
Oh, since 2022.
Okay, so a
Yes.
couple years now, a
Yes.
couple years now. All right. And so now you're comfortable in this leadership level
Hmm.
that I'm assuming you're comfortable. You look very, very comfortable. And you're here at the SHRM conference. Now you're
Hmm.
here in Chicago. And what are you learning? Why do you come to a conference like SHRM,
Hmm.
for your own professional development?
Well, locally in Jamaica, we do have a number of associations and conferences which are quite beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But I find being a member of SHRM and
Mm.
participating in these conferences really gives you a global um, aspect or experience,
Yep.
right? And it adds a little more color to what we're doing
Yep.
in Jamaica, in the Caribbean. Um, it also gives me exposure to what's the best practices, right? And sometimes also maybe what's the leading trends that quite hasn't made our shores yet,
Yep.
right? So it gives me an opportunity to be ahead of the game
Yep.
rather behind.
Well, you're also sort of, you're a living proof of probably what you try to give to your team members, which
Hmm.
is professional development and
Correct.
always learning. You're living those values. As we think about just now that you've been in this role as an HR leader for a
Mhm.
few years now with a desire to be impactful, what are some of the things day to day that you have responsibility for? What does a day in the life for you, Michelle? What does
Mhm.
that look like?
Well, I tell everyone that no 2 days are the same in
Uh-huh.
HR. You have your list of things to do, or you think you're going to achieve, items 1 through 10,
Mhm.
and then something just comes rolling in that just unravels your entire day, right? And so, but I would say our top priorities are a lot of, or maybe what I deal with on a daily basis, managing conflict.
Mhm.
Um, apart from the recruiting and onboarding and those things which are very critical and important. Um, but it's now, I would say, that shift of managing conversations and communication amongst employees, and Sharm has a quite unique name for it, which I think I'll adapt and take back. It's about bringing civility into the workplace.
Ah,
And with the onset of the working from home and then hybrid and then back to work, you find that, and the integration of new systems, people lose that human element, the
yes.
contact. And I think it's so important, especially, you know uh, people are dealing with a lot at home,
Yep.
and no matter what we like to think, they bring it to the workspace.
Yep.
And if we don't treat others with kindness and respect, then we see what the results are in
Yep.
HR, right? You get that call, you get that email. There's a conflict here. Can you help us? And so, unfortunately, those are some of the things we have to deal with from time to time.
Well, probably every time to time, every single hour of every
I'm
single
trying to be
day.
nice.
You're doing a good job. If we think about just human capital is
Mhm,
always the single largest, most important asset that any organization has. And one of the top
mhm,
issues in speaking with top HR leaders like yourself, what they often are talking about is employee engagement.
mhm.
And the workforce has certainly changed, whether it's sort of getting through the pandemic, the not being civil anymore, those
Right.
types of things. A lot has changed in just a few short years. What are your top strategies for engagement of your team members?
Mm. Well, we have tried to incorporate more our retreats, where in which it's more strategic retreat. And again, engaging one on one with our team members, having those important conversations. So, setting the goals very early, understanding what's required of them, and allowing that feedback on a consistent basis.
Hmm.
So, if it's not going right, let us know. Don't wait until 6 months later.
Yep.
And I think that's what's missing a lot of times,
Hmm.
because what people want inherently is to feel um, a sense of belonging,
Yes.
right? And so if we have that conversation from early, I think that's what's key.
Yep.
That's one of the
And
key
how
strategies.
is that going? So, in terms of the work that you're doing
Hmm.
to give people a sense of belonging, to provide for civility in the
Hmm.
workplace, to provide a culture that allows people to feel a sense of belonging, how are your programs, your efforts? How is it working within your organization?
Well, from where I sit, I'd like to say it's working,
Okay.
right? Once a year, we come together, and it's really a time of, I would say, fellowshipping, recognizing where we've come from and where we are going. Um, the company is based on Judeo-Christian principles,
Hmm.
and so and it's seen also in our mission statement.
Yep.
So with God,
Yep.
and everything starts with prayer
Hmm.
at our company.
Okay.
And so we recognize him in all we do. And so that translates into how we communicate, how we interact with our employees, how we engage with them. So that's another way that we really meet our staff where they are. And
Yep.
it's an opportunity too for them to have a conversation with a manager, or a vice president, an executive. It really allows them that.
So that's really gets to the culture in terms of
Correct.
how your entire organization is oriented. One of the things, and Transparent, who we're partnered with
Hmm.
here, in terms of this podcast and speaking with leaders like yourself, one of the things that we're very, very focused on are some of the issues that we see and hear, where is that many team members don't have access to high quality health and care, high quality and affordable
Mm-hmm.
health and care. And that actually becomes one of those engagement issues for team members. So,
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective, how does sort of with the benefits or the what you're providing in terms of health and care to your team members, how is that going? Do you see that as a top issue that you're concerned about for your team members? What are your thoughts there?
Well, one of I would say in most of our interviews, um, a lot of persons say that one of the reasons they apply and they want to work with us is because of the benefits that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
And at Jamaica Broilers Group, we are not solely focused, on the work is important, yes,
Yes.
but that we are concerned about the whole person.
Yep.
So the mental, the health,
Yep.
um, and their family. That's
Yep.
very important at our core as well.
Yep.
Because if things are not right at home or with the person, then the whole person doesn't show up at work, and
Right.
then it's not a productive workspace. And so we believe that the health benefit that we offer is sufficient. Of course, you have those that will say it could be a little better,
Yes.
but we are always in constant dialogue with our provider,
Mm-hmm.
reviewing the benefits provided, and seeing where we can improve and offer new benefits. Of course, it comes at a cost, but the company pays for the health and life insurance for all our employees
Mhm.
at a minimum, and they pay the cost for dependents. We also provide what we call, um, which we are part of a program, an employee assistance program.
Yep.
So we facilitate free access to counseling
Mhm.
for the employee and their family,
Yep.
and and we also have a counselor that visits each location.
Oh, okay.
And so we have both. So employees have access to either one. And then also we have a clinic with a resident doctor or doctors now,
Yep.
as we're growing in size. We have a team of nurses as well.
Nice.
And the nurses travel from each location to each location to
Mhm.
visit with the staff. They have their regular checkups. They know the staff intimately. And so we find that has helped a lot because everyone's busy in their lives. They
Yes.
can't leave as they would like to.
Right.
We are in some remote areas as well.
Yep.
And so we found that this has really helped the employee experience. And it's one thing I think that makes us an attractive employer.
Yep, and these things are so important, for most people, their employer is the place that they go in terms of what access they might have
Hmm.
to health and care so that you can think about the team member as a whole person, whether it's their mental health, whether it's their home well-being, whether it's if there's a cancer diagnosis, that
Right.
there's a navigator, that there is somebody who is there to provide that care throughout a very complex care
Hmm.
journey. These are critical things. That's a lot of what Transparent certainly is thinking about. And
Okay.
with leading organizations, like yourself, that you're thinking about it that way. I mean, that's just terrific. So,
Mm.
Michelle, but let's go back to you as a leader.
Okay.
And as a leader, now in the role responsible for many different people, thinking about many different aspects of HR, and whether it's talent development,
Hmm.
culture, civility, or other things. If you could wave your magic wand,
Hmm.
okay, and solve some of the most complex issues that you would like to solve for your team members, what might that be?
Mm.
You have a magic wand. It's magic. You can wave it and you can solve anything.
Hmm. There's so many things that's going around
I
in my
know.
mind.
I know. It's
How
very
does how
powerful.
do you choose just one? Um, everyone wants to be more productive
Uh-huh.
and have more hours in the day. And if that one thing I could accomplish is for everyone to have that work-life balance.
Hmm.
It seems so mystical and we're
Yes.
always trying and chasing, but can never quite achieve it. And so I think if that's something I could um, change,
Hmm.
I would love to give everyone you know, that that ability to be very productive, be a great wife or partner. Um, if you have children, to be there too, or to care for your aging parents
Hmm.
and still be great at what you do and show up every day.
Mhm. The gift of time is magical. I think
Mhm.
that is a very powerful use of your magic wand. So that
Mhm.
leads me to the question about, the future. AI is here. We're
Yes.
all talking about it. We're all finding applications for AI. So
Mhm.
whether it is, at your organization or in the HR realm that you have responsibility for,
Mhm.
where do you see the applications that you're excited about for AI? Is there anything there?
Well, uh, so this was another great takeaway from Sherm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Johnny Taylor this morning said, we have to run into the storm and run fearlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that really hit home for me. One, being here today, so I took those words
Yeah.
literally. Um, but secondly, with AI, we don't use a lot of it now. It's not regulated, and you have those concerns, and people are apprehensive. But I think it's something we have to embrace because it's coming whether we like it or not.
Yes.
And at SHRM, I learned a lot about some of the useful tools that we can implement and that I think I'll be taking back to talk to our security infrastructure managers, and certainly the executive team on how it can help us,
Mhm.
because you cannot take away the human element
Right.
and our role. And I think that's the role of HR, that they're thinking that will disappear,
Yep.
and
That's hard to imagine.
it won't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen, I 100%
Mhm.
agree with you. I think the AI technology, certainly at Transparent, we have some AI forward technology that we're certainly very excited about. And while all of that is wonderful, the human element behind the scenes and knowing always that you have the ability for
Mhm.
a human being at the ready is critical. How do you think about the issues of trust? You're dealing with a population of people that may have some trust issues with technology. Is that something that you think about? And if you do, what are you thinking about?
Well, definitely. I think that's one hurdle we'll
Mhm.
have to surmount,
Uh-huh.
and manage that change. We recently implemented an HR solution.
Mhm.
We were doing a lot of things paper based.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going through that process of change management. And already you're seeing, you saw some apprehension. Oh, this is new. What if I change something here? Will it break?
Uh-huh.
And then, now to transition to, okay, trusting this solution to AI
Uh-huh.
to then help me with my role. How do I know if it's real? How do
Mhm.
I know if the information is credible? Are they capturing data on me?
Mhm.
And so that's a huge hurdle we're going to have to surmount. But I think, again, having the conversations, meeting with them, showing them the benefits of what it can do and enhance what they're currently doing.
Mhm.
So for example, if it's going to help with writing letters, job letters,
Mhm.
helping with the job descriptions, and I think or scheduling. I
Mhm.
think that's some useful areas that could be implemented seamlessly and still give you back time to focus on more strategy and other things that really get left behind.
I think that you're bringing it back to the application of AI for those useful things
Hmm.
that give you back the most important thing, which is
Time.
time and the
Hmm.
quality of time and how you can use it, whether it's, professionally to do more strategic things as a professional, or whether it's just the being with family and finding more quality time outside of the, confines of what can be really stressful days. I mean, work can be very hard and that's just, that's reality. I don't think AI is solving that
No.
any day soon. But, bringing it back to that human element, I just think is so, it seems so obvious, but it's just so very, very important. I really appreciate you pointing that one out.
Agreed.
So, okay, so I like to talk about on inspiring women. I
Mhm.
always like to go back to, the time when you determined that you were a leader. And so,
Mhm.
when you started out, maybe as a little girl, did you envision yourself as the leader you are today?
Ah, no, I don't think not in the same way that I
Okay,
am now.
okay,
Um, as I mentioned, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I just had that sense of purpose and I was driven and there was nothing that was going to stop me.
uh huh,
Um, and I came from a family of educators, and it's about excellence and doing well and doing your best at whatever you're doing.
mm-hmm.
And so inherently in that, and I'm the eldest of three girls,
Uh huh,
so you have to lead at
oh
some
yeah,
point. My middle sister, I tease her all the time because she likes to be the leader.
uh
And I allow that space sometimes, but you silently push back a little where necessary. But
huh,
yes. So inherently I think I was always a leader. It just depended on the role that I was in at the time. So if I'm being a mother,
mm-hmm.
like I am now, then I know that leadership role looks different.
Uh huh,
In the workspace, as a HR manager, that looks different as well because you're trying to inspire and motivate, not by giving directives, but helping people to discover that own power within themselves
mm-hmm.
to grow and to one day become a leader themselves. And I hope that's what I can do in this role.
So, Michelle, if you think about yourself as a leader, as the big sister, you think
Hmm.
about yourself as a leader, as a mother, you think about yourself as a leader, as the manager of HR, and it's almost like a servant leader type of role
Right.
that you sometimes play. As you think about just like the next generation of
Mhm.
women who want to be like you, what advice might you give them?
Find something you're passionate about.
Hmm.
because each day you get up, there has to be something that drives you and wants you to achieve more and do more and be better, and ultimately a better person. Um, and along that journey, whatever it is that you decide, I would say be your authentic self. Don't think you have to fit into a particular mold or be a certain type of person to excel. Just be yourself. And the second thing I would say is your word should be your bond, because that inherently will inspire trust, gain the respect, and help you in the journey, I believe, to excel and to be a leader, because no one is going to follow someone who they don't think is genuine, or they're not going to do what they say they're going to do.
I could not agree with that more. I think that is, and that authenticity, you're certainly bringing it to this conversation. This has been an excellent Inspiring Women conversation. I've been speaking with Michelle Fitz-Henley. Michelle, thank you so very
Thank you
much.
so much. It was an honor.
This has been an episode of Inspiring Women with Laurie McGraw. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We are produced at Executive Podcast Solutions. More episodes can be found on inspiringwomen.show. I am Laurie McGraw, and thank you for listening.